people are starting up businesses without thinking about how many people want this thing and how can you reach them. Where are they? Because if you are doing something that 10 million people want, but you're only able to reach 100, your revenue will be limited at those 100 people.
What do you think are the skills every African entrepreneur should have right now?
Ability to sell, not even just your product or service, but your vision, and then people management. I think that digital skills is one of the easiest way to even scale a business, especially for people in the service sector.
So you do a lot of digital skills training and empowerment. Right now, if someone is watching this and thinking, what skills should I get that would help me to actually add great value to the marketplace, what kind of advice would you give them?
My number one thing is...
Hello guys, welcome to this episode, and in this episode I will be sitting down and I'm going to be having a conversation with Yemisi Isidi, who is a phenomenal business builder, venture coach, venture enabler, who has been able to help nano, small, medium, big businesses, go from ideas to scale, and also help them with bridge funding and bridge loans. I like to think of her like the microfinance Caesar. She specializes in helping solve those micro problems that businesses go through, understand when they are experiencing the need for growth in their journey. And I look forward to delving into conversation around what that experience has been, because I actually think she's solving a very hard problem, because even big banks, are struggling to be able to figure out the whole idea of nano, micro, and small lending for businesses within Nigeria, and within Africa. But the MEC happens to be doing it, and we look forward to delving into conversations around it and around her also journey with educating people around digital literacy and the various skill sets they need for growth. So join me as I have a conversation with my dear friend here, Yemisi Isidi. When I was really checking out your profile, and looking at your journey so far, the work that you are doing with Triift, I think the first question that was in my mind was, what has led you to where you are currently? What's your story that led you to where you are currently?
So I worked with an NGO in a community center. So it was a community center on the outskirts of Birmingham, right? So it was like 30 minutes on the train. I used to live in the center of Birmingham, so it was 30 minutes on the train to Smethwick, which was a community. And it was like an immigrant community in a way. So when people come in from Asia, they stay in communities like that. Or when people just got out of jail or something like that, they stay in communities like that. So some of the work that I was doing in the communities were teaching people how to use a computer. So teaching a 40-year-old white male how to put on a computer for the first time, or teaching the 7-year-old that just came in from Pakistan how to speak English, and all of that. So, and I really deeply enjoyed it, right? I studied accounting for management, and I really liked the work that I was doing, and I realized that, I want to do something around impact, right? It has to be something that I can see the results tangibly. So that, I feel like that was the core of what has informed a lot of my career decisions since moving back to Nigeria. So even if it's working with businesses or providing microloans or corporate trainings or digital skills training, at the core for me is, okay, what is this translating to impact-wise?
So that experience in the UK actually sowed the seed of impact within your soul to come and try and make impact.
Yes.
And that also now got you to birth Triift Africa, right?
Yes.
What's Triift Africa about, and what's the mandate right now?
Okay, so when I moved back to Nigeria in 2017, I noticed a lot of people my mom would always talk about people that she was giving money to for their business, for one thing or the other. And it wasn't usually a lot of money. It was like 30K here, 100K there. So I started to look into it. So I looked into the financial inclusion numbers, access to finance, and I realized that there are so many micro businesses, especially, who are not able to access any form of financing. So whether grants or loan, any form of financing at all. And access to credit is essential for growth, especially in the kind of economy that we have. And if businesses are able to access finance, they're able to grow, they're able to create more jobs. So that was pretty much where Triift Africa started from. So we decided to start giving out really micro loans, 10 to 100K. It was 10 to 100K then, to really micro businesses. So really nano micro businesses, people who were students, our own businesses, and all of that. After a while, I realized that for a lot of people, it wasn't just funding that was the problem. So you can give someone a lot of money, 100K or even a million, and you come back in a year's time, and they are still where they were a year ago. That capacity building was the digital skills as well. So I was at an event earlier today, and I was just sharing how I've seen how teaching a micro business owner how to use WhatsApp even can completely improve significantly improve their revenue, or how to use Instagram. And so digital skills, capacity building, all of that. So right now, Triift Africa is focused on providing finance, access to finance and capacity building to nano and micro businesses. So we look at people who are making less than 5 million a year. What do they need for their next level of growth or to even start? And how can we connect them to these resources? So we do a lot of micro lending, but we also do a lot of grassroots community building and capacity building as well.
You've actually said a lot of things that have sparked in my mind in different places, right? I think the next question that comes to my mind is, so what has the data shown you so far really in this journey of giving out micro and nano businesses loans, right? Your loan size typically falls within what range?
So now is wider. So we do between 30,000 to a million, but our sweet spots are usually people who want between 100 to 300K. Yeah, so people who maybe just want to buy new raw materials or contribute to their next rent. Yes, working capital, essentially, yeah.
Okay, but what has the data shown you so far in terms of performance?
Oh, okay. So it is popular. It aligns with what is popularly available, right? Women do better in terms of returning the funding with interest on time. I think that the data has also shown us a market that has perhaps been missed, and we're now looking to leverage on, and that is supporting students and recent graduates. So last year, we looked at our numbers, like who were the people performing better in terms of not just returning the loans, but in terms of what they're able to do with the loans over a long period of time. And we realized that when we gave students, and students especially, money, it wasn't a lot of money, but it's helped them believe more in their vision. So we have people, for instance, we give a young lady 30K loan to buy a new oven for her catering business. And with that money, she's able to buy a second-hand oven, which increases her capacity to produce more pastries, right? She's now taking that from something that she does after classes to opening a second restaurant, just because someone believed in her enough to give her that money and just expanded her capacity and helped her finish school, because now she has money to fall back on to pay her tuition fee, to support her family back home. So we started thinking about how we can use microfinance to address the unemployment problem, because for someone like that, she doesn't have to look for a job anymore. And not only does she not have to look for a job, she's able to create jobs for her local communities. And the size of funding that she's looking for is not a lot. Also, if somebody is looking for money in an environment like that, a student is not starting a business for vibes. If a student is starting a business on campus, it's because they've identified a core need that their colleagues are willing to pay for. And there's a lot of cash flow that happens on campuses. Students are spending money on a lot of things, mainly around food, clothing, maybe services, and so on. So we are trying to put together an initiative that supports students, especially across campuses in Nigeria, to access finance, because these are not people who any traditional financial institution is looking for, right? But these are people that, if properly supported, especially with capacity building, we're able to perhaps slowly close the unemployment gap, because not only are they able to create employment for themselves, they're able to create employment for their local communities. We might also perhaps get people to stay back in cities or states that they'll typically not stay back in, because this person now, she's in Edo States. Typically, when people like her finish from Edo States, they move to Lagos or they move to Abuja for work. But if they've started a business that is successful in these regions, they tend to stay back. they tend to create jobs for people in their community as well.
So
Yeah.
what's currently your reach in terms of nationwide?
Okay.
And what methods do you use to reach these people in terms of, is it like, does Triift have an app? Is it that you do physical programs, or how do you reach people, and where do you, where's your coverage, your geographical coverage within Nigeria?
Okay, so it is a mixture of everything. So early this year, we launched local savings. So taking the local Isusu and tying that into enabling local traders access financing. So we have who we call account officers, local account officers in different areas, different cities, right? So for that one, we have more presence in local governments in Western Nigeria. The START program, which is for students and recent graduates, we are just wrapping up cohort 2, where we bring together students from across Nigeria, train them, and try to connect them with funding, right? We had people from over 20 states join us, from the far north especially, which was very interesting to us, because last year we got people from the west. So it's a mixture of both physical presence, grassroots activity, and social media. Yeah.
But regarding these students that you're speaking about, what are they taking loans for?
For a lot of them, it is to expand. Like the lady I mentioned who needed to get a new oven. Sometimes it's even for things like improving their internet access, so they're able to get it may seem like small money that does not make any difference to you and me, but I've seen how even something as small as a 10K loan completely changed someone's life.
Can you share that story with us?
Yeah, we had someone who worked with us when I was in Ilorin. So he would usually come around. I had an innovation hub. He usually come around and support us with our work. And he had a camera that he would typically rent from his boss, right? So one time I asked him, he was talking about a job that he wanted to take, but he couldn't take the job because his boss needs the camera for that day. So I asked him, have you tried to buy your own camera, or how much would you need to give your boss to give you this camera, since you've been working for this person for a long time? And he said, if he got 10,000 naira, he would be able to, I'm trying to remember if it was 10,000 or 25,000, somewhere between those two. He would be able to, his boss would be happy to give him the camera, and that means he wouldn't have to rent the camera, and he would be able to take up more jobs. So we said, and then we worked out an arrangement with him, and he got the money, had the camera. So what that meant was now he did not have to wait till the boss was available, right? And that's probably financing that he would have had to save for a long time. And this was someone who was responsible for not just himself, but his family as well. I think that if there's anything that this has made me really see is the impact of black tax, right? And how it can really affect people's ability to grow, and how it holds people back in some instances. Because a lot of these people, especially students in higher institution, is not just for themselves. They are working for their families, for their parents, for their siblings, step-siblings, all of that. And so this person now is independent. He now has his own media business. I think he's even just wrapping up his NYSC the last time that we spoke here.
I mean, so far, other Triift, you guys have facilitated over $10 million in terms of support or should I say loans to early stage businesses, right? And I think that number was a bit, when I said it, I was like, that's a whole lot of money, right? So I think the question that comes to my mind is, what do you typically look out for? Because I'm assuming these are non-collateralized loans.
Okay.
And also, what has been the percentage in terms of non-performing loans in this market segment?
I think that you're mixing up perhaps Triift with other things that I do. Yeah. Because there is Triift, which provides microloans and community. There is also Circle Labs, which was the innovation hub that is now more of a consultancy, where we support businesses that are trying to raise money, put together their documentation, work on their business model. And I also work with a number of accelerator and incubator programs that supports early stage startups across Africa. So I'm able to connect early stage businesses to potential investors, or just really work with them through acceleration or incubation over a period of time, getting them investment ready. So I think that may have been where the mix of
yes. I mean, but then again, like I think for me the real question still remains, like, what have you been able to see in terms of giving out loans? How does that process work? What have you seen in the sweet line that makes them accessible? Because I see this as a major problem right now, right?
Yeah.
Currently, I mean, we have what the federal government brought out for student loans,
Yeah.
which is majorly for school fees
Yeah.
and living expenses. Then we also have I think the federal government also just launched
for
credit.
Business fund. Okay, then the credit corp one.
I think credit corp or something like that.
And there's another one that the Ministry of Youth also rolled out, where businesses can access single.
Nigerian Youth Impact Fund or some innovation fund. You know, so I mean, I think with what we are seeing in the country right now, there's been a great rise in terms of demand for, like,
credit.
We are now becoming a more credit-friendly society in terms of people are looking for more. I mean, there are loan apps that are giving out loans that are, I mean, loan sharks. You know all that comes with it, that you spread your name and very unfavorable terms, right? So to be hearing what you're speaking about gets me thinking, because in terms of how do we solve the problem, because we have people who are saying that these people can't access loans because they are not credit worthy, right? And they are the 5 C's of capital. So we are looking at the collateral, we are looking at capacity to pay back, you know, and the rest. But how are you able to solve for that in terms of your own microloans aspects?
Okay, so I'll talk from both the demand and supply side. So as someone who gives out the loans, because at the core of it, we want businesses to succeed, right? So we get a lot of applications that we also have to turn down, because we realize that what this person needs right now is not a loan. Perhaps they should be looking for a grant, or they should just be working on their business model. So there is that. We typically only give money to businesses that already exist and have been in existence for 6 months and have consistent cash flow. So that's why most of the loans we give out is around working capital. So those are like a key factor that I would look out for. And then because we're also very focused on communities, so right now most of our loans are like community based, right? So we look for people who are in communities, so it could be a cooperative. That way there is accountability as well. And not only are we holding them accountable, they're able to hold each other accountable. So those are things that we look out for. On the other side, which is like people not being able to access loans, a lot of it ties to financial literacy, because even with the work that I do, when people apply for loans, you ask them for financial statements or bank statements, they can't provide those. And you also need to remember that someone providing you credit it's not charity. They are making a business decision. And part of that business decision is your capacity to pay back, right? And to pay back at the agreed time. So your traditional banks will use collateral, right? Because if you can't pay back, they'll sell off your property, they get their money back. So we have other systems that we use to measure the person's capacity to pay back, especially because the businesses that we typically support do not have the collateral to bring in. So there are other measures that you use to weigh in their ability to use the funding well and return it back, especially because these are businesses at the grassroots level. So as an individual looking for loan, you also have to consider, how am I going to position myself to be a good business decision for this lender? So what data can I provide to show that I'm able to pay back this money? I'm able to use the money for business and receive it. And this is whether you're a micro business owner or you're a startup founder. Every investor is making a business decision. So you always have to consider, how am I positioning myself as a good business decision worthy of investment? So very basic things like putting in the right structure. What's the legal structure? Do you have a separate bank account, right? Do you have your financial records, all of those things? Are you able to clearly communicate what your business does and how it makes money? Because I was speaking to someone today, and he was speaking for over 10 minutes, and I still couldn't get. I was so confused. And I know, like, because I understand what he was doing because I've worked with people like him, and the business was amazing. But the way he was communicating it, he seemed very confused, and I kept thinking, if I wanted to invest in your business and I did not know anything, I wouldn't listen to you because you're not communicating properly.
You're leaving me more confused.
Yeah, and that was where perhaps capacity building and people being part of accelerator programs comes in, because you're not able to learn how to tell your story better, right, and communicate what your business does, how it's making money.
So, but I mean, with a lot of businesses that you've worked on, be it on the credit space or even on the equity space, positioning them for investments, what are some key attributes that you find that a lot of businesses are lacking that they really need to do to put in place in order to qualify and better position themselves to access to funding by either equity or debt?
A key thing that an investor is looking for, whether it is the VC or loan, is that you understand these markets and you have long-term plans on how to make money from the market. So you've not just, like, you have to demonstrate good understanding of the market and long-term plans to generate money from that market, right? So you're not just, it's not just a passion project. You're able to demonstrate that you've thought it through end to end. You understand the size of the market even. So I was sharing the other day about how I went for a pitch competition, and everyone that pitched, they didn't seem to have any relevant data that they could communicate. And I know that it may sound too technical, but again, an investor is making a business decision. They want to know how many people can you potentially sell this product to? How many people even ideally need this product? Do you understand the problem? And how is your solution positioned, yes, to address this problem that exists?
But, I mean, looking at the various businesses, right? I mean, you spoke about structure. You spoke about the fact that understanding your markets, right? But also, how do you advise entrepreneurs to go about in terms of creating structures or in terms of positioning their businesses, their brands for this funding? Now, bear in mind that a large percentage of them, I think most of what I've seen is that a lot of people just do tracking. At least the ones that are trying, they do like a form of tracking. They just track incoming sales or outgoing sales. You know, if you are running like a small mom and pop store, you know, right? So how do you advise one to think about this idea of creating structures, systems, processes that will help their business be investable and be scalable?
Okay, so the answer to that question would depend on the kind of business and the kind of investment that you're looking for. So in terms of your, let's say your mom and pop store, like you mentioned, like let's say it's roadside supermarkets that is looking to maybe get funding, all of that. You will need to consider, so apart from the structure, in terms of you're able to track sales, you're able to reduce theft, right? You're able to manage your stock effectively. You're able to demonstrate partnerships that you've gotten in terms of your logistics, backward integration, and all of that. You also need to consider what is your investor looking for. So there are investors that are looking for how many jobs are you creating? Okay. Or how many women are you supporting? Okay. Or how are you protecting the environment? So, and when I say investors here, I'm talking about people that perhaps want to give you grants or loan or equity. So you need to consider things like that, right? So also being a part of community helps. So a lot of times, if you've listened to startup founders that have raised money in Nigeria, you realize that the role of luck is tremendous. The fact that somebody mentions your name somewhere or advocates for you, or you are in a room that not everybody can access, and you're able to talk about your ideas, plays an even more significant role than the number of pages of your business plan.
I agree.
Right? So that's community even, being very intentional about being part of certain communities, part of certain networks, significantly improves the chances of you being able to raise funding.
what are some key metrics that you think every business should be tracking in terms of, especially small businesses? I know people can talk about it for big businesses, you track your ROE or this.
Yeah.
But what are some key metrics that you feel every small business should be tracking? Because I think something that bothers me now is the fact that it seems like there is I don't know, you might disagree, maybe you have more data, but it seems that the gap, right, in terms of SMEs or MSMEs or NMSMEs, right? Now, there are different terms, right? So, but how do we see, like, if you go, for example, to a country like Japan, you hear that there are family businesses that have been there for like 100, 200 years, 300 years. They might not necessarily be the biggest companies in Japan, but you hear that they've outlived multiple generations, you know. And we don't really see a lot of that
Family
replicated
business.
over here. And even small businesses that just even eventually now grew to become massive corporations, we don't really see a lot of that, you know, happening within our climb, right? So what do you think is missing? And what metric do you think a small business needs to put in place in order to actually find or fill in the gap in terms of what is missing?
Okay. Wow, that's a really good question. In terms of family businesses, or businesses that have been passed on from generations, I think we have a few. Perhaps they are not as maybe we are so, like a UAC, for instance. They've been there for as long as they've been there for a really, maybe there are actually a few legacy businesses that we have in Nigeria. I think the economic instability really contributes to businesses' longevity, right? And then innovation, adapting to the climes and what people need, what people are demanding for, and also staying competitive. Those are key things. And then documenting our stories, right? So that you're able to pass on what is working from one generation to another. And I think that perhaps there is a role of intentionality, not just building for now. A lot of people actually are not building for the long term. They are building for, let's just get this funding, or let's just even survive today.
I call it entrepreneurship as a service to venture.
So there is even how many people want to build businesses that they want to pass on to their children, children. So maybe we should even start from there. And then for the people who want to build these businesses that they want to pass on, what have they identified to be challenges or limitations that are stopping them? But the key thing that every business should track is profitability, not just cash flow. So a lot of times in working with business owners, even early stage founders, they think, we are making money every day, so we are good. But making money every day does not mean that you're profitable, right?
Yeah.
So what are your expenses looking like? Is the money that you're making covering your expenses? If not, what changes can you make both in the short term and in the long term? So number one thing that you should be tracking is your profitability, your ability to not just make money, but to make money that covers your expenses. That's the key metric that every business should be tracking, profitability.
I think, what traits are you currently seeing within the MSME space or NMSME space or even business space generally? What traits are you seeing that would really mark out someone who is actually going to succeed? What do you look out for? I know you scout and you look at entrepreneurs all the time.
Yeah.
What traits do you typically look out for? There are people that say, I hired the entrepreneur. Some people tell you that no, as far as the business is in the right sector, it will do well. You know, so what do you look out for?
Resilience, because you would always be faced with a changing market and different things would come at you. But how willing are you to bounce back and to adapt to changing times? So somebody who is resilient and open to learning would go farther than someone who is perhaps stuck in a specific box. Right, because the market is changing, different things are coming up that are affecting how you provide your products and services. So that willingness to bounce back, that willingness to continue to learn, to continue to show up and try again and again and again is a key factor for success, especially if you're doing business in a place like Nigeria.
So you find a lot of entrepreneurs that will tell you The problem with my business is I don't have access to funding.
Yeah.
I don't have access to money. I don't have access to money.
Yeah.
Do you hold that to be true?
Sometimes they are correct. Most times they are not correct.
And so what's typically the bias in their minds that makes them not correct?
The thing is that if money is the solution to every business problem, then we wouldn't have startups who have raised a lot of money shut down. I think yesterday I was reading of someone who shut down 5 months after raising millions of dollars. It wasn't even up to a year.
8 or 80 million.
Yeah. So if money is the problem, then yeah. So you can have a lot of money without a defined sustainable business model. You can also be throwing a lot of money at an idea that there is no market for. So it's very important that these businesses, like you understand the market, you understand what people need, and you're positioning yourself to be able to meet those needs effectively. You also have the right team that you're building with, because you can have the most amazing idea, but you're not driving it with the right people, which means even if you get all the money in the world, it's still not going to really move the needle, right? People will come back a few years' time and you're still in the same position. Then marketing and distribution as well. So how many people that need this product or service know about this product or service and are able to access the product and service? So that's a key thing with, again, going back to the data. People are starting up businesses, so micro business owners, for instance, without thinking about how many people want this thing. And how can you reach them? Where are they? How can you get this product to them? Because if you are doing something that 10 million people want, but you're only able to reach 100, your revenue will be limited at those 100 people, 100 people, right? Yeah. So sometimes people say, oh, we want more money, we get more money. But then when you look at their data, when you maybe look at their financial statements, you're able to spot expenses that does not really need to be there. Right? Or you're able to identify other opportunities to boost their revenue. So yes, people need money. I think access to finance is essential for business growth, but it is not always the only thing that a business needs. And I'm even speaking to my friends in VC. So I had a friend who started working with a VC studio last year. And then this year I realized that she has gone back to marketing. So I was like, oh, what happened? I was looking at her LinkedIn and I reached out to her and I said, oh, what happened? Because you really wanted to do this thing. So she was like, yes, it was a good experience. But she realized that as businesses grow, they don't just need funding. They need those experienced experts to help them access new markets, to help them with their financials. And they need access to quality network. So even people in governments that are driving policies that favor their business model. So she realized that she would rather stick with marketing and brush up her marketing and branding skill because she feels like she'll be able to help these businesses more than working in a venture studio. And that made perfect sense to me, actually.
Scaling businesses, right? These MSMEs, right? Do we see them really desiring to scale? Do we see them having what it takes to scale? What are you finding out there when you speak to businesses? I know, yes, you deal beyond just MSMEs, you also deal with startups.
Yeah.
What are you finding? I mean, a startup must scale, really. That's the whole idea.
Yes. But as well set up a supermarket and decide.
Yes, because you must scale. That's the whole idea why venture chose to invest in.
Yes.
But what are you finding as hindrances to startups being able to scale or to small businesses being able to scale?
Okay, I think that number one is perhaps the exposure. So how many of them are aware of the fact that they can go from being one business in Abuja to being 20 branches across Africa, or even maybe not having physical branches, but having access to new market. So there's a number of things, right? One of the modules on one of the accelerator programs that was on scaling, actually. And I remember, like, most times when we get to that module, a lot of businesses will come and they'll say, actually, I realized that I'm not ready for this.
What do you typically find
because
as their
they don't
reason
have
for not
the
being
structure.
ready?
So scaling means that you have structures that can be repeated. Because when you have a business, especially as a nano micro business, it revolves around you to a large extent. Scaling means that it doesn't revolve around just you anymore. It revolves around systems and structures. So that system and structure comes from you even understanding your own business, being able to sell your vision to anybody, and having documented processes. So when you do not have those documented processes, it's hard for you to say you want to scale, right? So let's say that you have those. You now have to understand the different cultures, the different ways that business is being done across the different areas that you want to operate in. There is also market access. So we are having a lot of micro and small businesses, especially people in food production, who are not able to export, right? So there is the logistics situation. So yes, they've saturated Abuja, or they've saturated Nigeria. Now they want to reach wider markets. What is the government support or policy or infrastructure that enables them to reach those wider markets? I think that digital skills is one of the easiest way to even scale a business, especially for people in the service sector.
Why do you say so?
Because you're able to reach wider markets from your home. So we have more people doing business process outsourcing now, whereby you're able to
work remotely.
Remote work, offer services to people globally, even bring together a few people that provide services to consultants, to manufacturing companies. And we know some very popular ones, like I think Outsource Global is one of the biggest BPOs in Nigeria.
Do you know one of the things I found very interesting?
Yeah.
I was watching a video recently, and someone was actually talking about the fact that product-based companies do not create jobs as much as service-based companies. You know, and I think that's what
Outsource Global.
Outsource Global has been able to, because we focus so much on creating product-based companies, especially for tech skills.
Yes.
And we forget that we need service-based companies that actually are going individually and solving custom problems, for organizations, be it creating a small website for a business, because then that's where we have like national intervention. Because if we are looking at creating small like product companies, let's not forget to create service companies, that, like the likes of people that do customer service, digital marketing, some of the kind of work that we do. It creates a lot of jobs. Because I as a business owner, I know I find it very interesting that every single client that I bring in, there's a certain limit. I need to hire more people. Unlike a product-based company that automatically, if you get to 1 million users, you still can serve 1 million users with a team of maybe 50 or 100 people and machines,
so
servers.
That's good perspective.
So I think as you're speaking, that's what just came to my mind in terms of digital skills, right?
And perhaps that points to like the importance of both skills in terms of hard and soft skill, and also infrastructure like power, internet access. I think last week that we had really bad internet, someone tweeted, "Oh, is this the internet I'm supposed to use to compete with global talents, or is this the internet that I'll use to become a global talent?" So things like that, the infrastructure matters. So I think that that scaling, there is the work that the business has to do, and I think there is also the policy angle and government infrastructure that makes scaling for local Nigerian businesses easier and perhaps even more possible.
But do you see a lot of Nigerian businesses getting the idea of creating structures that will scale?
Yes, I don't see what's stopping us. And a conversation that is ongoing and a lot of investors look out for is who can use your business outside Nigeria. So for instance, we have a Paystack, a Flutterwave. These are businesses that you need anywhere, right? As long as you're a business owner, a Paystack or a Flutterwave will make it easier for you to carry out trade, which would significantly influence like your ability to receive payments, to make sales, all of that. So not just building to solve local problems, but thinking about how what we're building can solve international problems or problems that are beyond the boundaries of Nigeria.
looking at the journey that you've been able to, or what you've been able to achieve, I think Triift is how many years now?
3 years.
3 years, right?
Yeah.
So the past 3 years with what you've been building with Triift, are you guys going to get like a microfinance license?
Yes. Most definitely, yes.
Okay, so you eventually Triift to become like a bank.
Yes.
And but in looking to do that, are there specific sectors that you've identified that tend to do better when it comes to the loans that you are typically giving out?
I mean, food, right? So you want to think about cash flow. Which business generates more cash flow? It's the business that, what do people spend on every day? No matter what's going on in this country, people will eat food.
Yeah.
People will wear clothes, right? So if you want to support nano, micro businesses, those are the key. But we're also seeing things like skills. So people who are learning digital skills that want to get a new laptop or phone, or want to get the Hinet, for instance, and do not have the funding for it. But if they're able to fund those things, they have the capacity to generate more revenue or improve their cash flow. So there is also that as well, because that also in a way still ties into working capital. So people who provide services, being able to support them with the infrastructure to be able to deliver more of those services at scale. And then people in food, manufacturing, fashion as well. Those are key areas in terms of, and even your traditional banks, those are the key sectors that they typically look out for, because those are the people with the consistent cash flow, right? And clear demand. So the model is clear. You understand what this person is doing, how they are making money is very clear. Yeah.
So, but do you find yourself maybe favoring a certain, apart from food, because I mean, are you talking about food like in terms of perishables? Because let me just be clear, or are you talking about like food like we eat, or are you talking about food like
both food as in people manufacturing, people packaging,
Oh, okay.
spices, farm agriculture, restaurants.
Okay.
We've sponsored a number of people who own restaurants, and they've done really well.
In terms of paying back?
Yes. For me though, paying back is great. It's the number one thing that you want. But for me, I'm also looking at the impact that you're able to make. So beyond that person paying back, what are they able to use your money to do? Are they able to create more jobs for people? Are they able to expand to a new location? Are they able to get more people to buy their products because of this loan that they've gotten and what they've been able to use? So when I'm biased, it's usually towards those things, irrespective of the sector. Yes, first of all, can you pay us back? What's the proof that you can pay us back?
Because honestly, are you sure you're not giving out charity?
So that's number one. Then two, what is the potential impact that your business can make with this money? And for me, job creation is something that is very dear to my heart. So just really looking out for, okay, which businesses can we support that can potentially create jobs for other people as well because of the support that we're able to give them.
So you do a lot of digital skills training and empowerment. Right now, if someone is watching this and thinking, what skills should I get right now that would help me to actually add great value to the marketplace, what kind of advice would you give them around making a decision on a skill to learn and also going about following up on that path?
Okay, so someone asked me this exact question in a group, and my response was, okay, so let me backtrack a bit. I was having a conversation with someone the other day, and she was like, she realized that she has perhaps treated her career as a pet project and not as a core business decision. And now she's at that place where time has gone and she doesn't feel like she's made tangible progress. And so my advice is, first of all, do not treat your career as a pet project. If you're not certain of the digital skills, there are so many, right? Both technical, code or no code. My number one thing is research on the various ones, right? Go on YouTube, watch a day in the life of a product designer or a digital social media manager. See what perhaps that could look like. Then search for entry-level roles in the area that you're looking at. So if you're thinking about digital marketing or data analytics or Scrum Master, how many of them have entry-level roles? Because it's easier for you to get into an entry-level role as someone just starting out. But if you go and learn, I feel like a lot of skills, and I may be wrong, but I feel like skills like data analytics, it is not an entry-level role. And so, okay, I'll probably come back to that. But look for entry-level role vacancies and see how many there are. If there are a lot of them, it means that your chances of getting a job after studying that skills increases, right? Look at their requirements. That would help you identify the right course to do based on the curriculum that would help you fit into the position. Then look for communities. So if you're learning digital marketing, where are the digital marketing communities? Online, offline. Look for a mentor, if possible, that can hold you accountable, that can really give you the inner workings of the industry that you may not find online. Follow people on social media who are in that space, because they'll most likely be the ones sharing opportunities, sharing the things, sharing their portfolios, sharing the things that they are working on. So that would be my advice. So going back to data analytics, every time that we've hired someone, or someone I know has hired someone and they said, oh, I'm a data analyst, this is my certification, I've done this course, that course, and they're entry level, a lot of times they don't know how to use the skill in the workplace. Because I feel like data analytics is not a standalone skill, like social media management. You need to be analyzing data related to something. So it could be finance or operations. And if you do not have basic knowledge of that
domain expertise,
you would not struggle to analyze the data in a way that is useful to the organization. So I think data analytics is a fantastic skill to have, but it is better to use it as maybe icing on a core domain expertise in a business, and then understanding how the data that you're analyzing is useful to the organization. If not, it is, and a lot of times when people come entry level, they don't know anything. I mean, if you know something, congrats to you. But the people that I've met, they don't know how to analyze the data or even use that data to make tangible decisions for the organization.
Yeah, I get what you mean. Like, it's kind of agnostic, really.
Yeah.
Like, you really have no place.
Yeah.
I've seen a lot of people that have studied data analysis from a very entry-level position and are struggling.
Yeah.
Like, they're struggling to find their place. And they come to me for interviews. I'm like, yeah, data analysis is good, but I don't know where to put you.
Yeah.
Right? Because I don't see you solving for me problem with, like, I run a marketing organization and I need you to be able to give me data intel. So if you're not able to go look at my data from my Google platform or from my Facebook platform and tell me this is what...
help me make a decision.
You're actually just wasting my time. And most likely you will not know it.
Yeah, because you're entry level.
You're still entry level. So you kind of need something to help. So I think that's really wise, right? And I heard someone once said that don't pick a profession that has a high unemployment rate.
Yeah.
Or don't pick a line. And the person was referring to sports, actually. He was trying to say that...
What are the chances of you
your chances of actually succeeding in sports is 98% failure rates, because over 98% of people who try to pursue a sport career actually don't eventually get a sport career.
It also has a limited time frame.
Yes.
So I think even with the Olympics, someone was saying how most of the top flyers are professionals in other fields.
Yeah, actually.
They have PhDs, they have day jobs.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I saw that and it was very impressive. Like, you see them, doctors, engineers, and they still just make out time to practice for the Olympics, which is really exceptional. What do you think are the skills that you think every African entrepreneur should have right now?
Wow. Ability to sell.
Ability to sell.
There is no running away from it. I really do not like sales. I am the kind of person that even when I'm negotiating with clients, I prefer that they come to me. I just want to do my work and go. Use your church mind and pay me. But obviously, some people do not have church mind. No. So you have to be able to negotiate. You have to be able to put a price on the table. So ability to sell, not even just your product or service, but your vision. Because even in things like raising funding, getting key partnerships, getting even good staff, getting good people, qualified people to join your team boils down to your ability to sell your vision, ability to clearly communicate and sell your vision. So number one thing, no matter what you want to do, even if you're trying to build an app that will save the world, you need to be able to learn how to clearly communicate and sell. And then people management is like the second thing, because you, as a leader, you'll be managing people. So you have the vision that you're trying to build and scale. You won't be the one doing the work. So you've sold the vision to someone. How are you going to lead them to bring that vision to life? So I think those are like top two things that you need to learn.
I
Selling,
think
people management.
I think I totally agree with you, because Ogilvy, who is a marketing genius, says it like this: sell or else. You're either selling or else you're out of business.
Yeah.
What advice would you have given yourself starting out?
I think it's what my friend said about not treating your career as a pet project. I mean, I'm really grateful for, I've done a lot of things, and I feel like that has built me into the person that I am. So because of the work that I do, especially with accelerators, incubators, sometimes I have to work with founders that are significantly older or have been running their businesses for 10 years, 15 years. And you can almost think, oh, what does me in my 20s, what do I have to offer them?
Yeah.
But because I have worked across different
industries
and with different people, there is almost no table that I can't bring something to. But I wish that I had perhaps not treated my career as a pet project. So I am a very passionate person and very impact driven. I wish I had followed the money from the start. So not just thinking about how what I'm doing is solving a problem, but how is this going to make money, and how is it going to make money consistently? I wish that was something that I was intentional about thinking about early, and maybe finding a coach or mentor that I was very accountable to, and not just in a social general sense, but a professional coach and mentor that I was accountable to. Because when you're multi-talented, it's very easy to just shoot out like wildfire, but I feel like mentoring helps you hone your skill, helps you focus. So I wish that was something that I had done earlier. Yeah.
I think the next question really to me is, how do you identify and find a mentor that would...
Ooh, that's a good one. I think perhaps people that resonate with you. So if you know what you're looking for, perhaps it's easier for you to find someone who can give that to you, right? So they may not even be in your industry. They may not have this. So for me, a key thing is shared values, right? So there are foundational values that I align my life by. So identifying people who have those shared values. If not, you go on YouTube and you will hear all sorts of things, and you're just like, blood of Jesus. So that shared value is key. And then identifying people who can really align you to what it is that you're looking for. Sometimes it's just in terms of accountability. Oh, I said I'll do this thing. I want someone who I would respect enough to do it, right? Or to commit to doing it. Sometimes people want mentorship because of the access to network. So who does this person know that they can introduce me to what platforms? So they are not teaching you anything technical. They are just giving you access to rooms that you... So what do you need, right? And then it's easier to identify. They said when the student is ready, the teacher will show up. So when you've even identified, where am I going to and what do I need to get there, then perhaps it makes it easier for you to spot people who can take you on that journey.
If there's anything you could wave a hand to do a policy in Nigeria to do something that you think will change the entrepreneurial ecosystem or landscape, what would you do?
Education reforms. From our kindergarten, the curriculum that we are using, how are kids being taught? Because we can encourage people to build phenomenal businesses, but if the quality of people, the employability of people working in those businesses is not great, you can't build beyond your team. At the end of the day, no matter how amazing your idea is or how much funding you get, if your team are not skilled, both in terms of soft skill, technical skill, and when you're just starting out, it's expensive to train, and it's expensive to hire the best experts. And so you're almost stuck in between, like training people or hiring people who are experts that would drive your growth. But if we have the right education for our children from very young, and not just for a few kids, everyone, the right digital skills, the right vocational skills, soft skills, from a young age up until university level, I think that it would even see a significant impact in terms of the ideas that we are bringing forth and how we're able to make those ideas profitable and sustainable. So education reforms, number one thing.
So I mean, I didn't expect that answer.
What were you thinking?
I think maybe
What's
I was
your
thinking,
funding?
maybe I'll hear that access to funding or this thing,
No.
but I really love that because
Yeah.
someone says this way that if you take a great idea and you give it to a poor team,
Yeah.
you'll get a poor product.
Yeah.
But if you take a bad idea and you give it to a great team, they will throw away the idea and bring up a better idea, and birth a great product, And I think that person is very right. The quality of our people will determine the quality of our ecosystem.
Yeah.
And the quality of our ecosystem will further determine the quality of businesses that we build.
Yeah.
I think the next question I'm going to ask is, what are you currently reading? What book have you read that has really transformed your entrepreneurial journey that you feel every entrepreneur should read?
So I've been doing a lot of courses recently. So my reading game has been off, but I'm currently reading Banker to the Poor. I don't know if you've heard about it. Yes. So I'm currently reading, when it comes to microlending, he's like our godfather, our chairman.
I think he got a Nobel Peace Prize for that.
Yes, he did. So pretty much every YouTube video that he has on YouTube, I've seen it. Pretty much any YouTube video on microlending, I've probably seen it, apart from anybody, right? Because I'm so curious about it. I want to understand how it is working in other countries, the models that they're using, the impact that they're able to create. But that's the book that I'm currently reading, Banker to the Poor. In terms of books I've read so many really good books. I don't think that there is one that I will say, oh, I'm so sorry, now I won't be able to recommend one. I'll say this is the life-changing one for me.
And there's none that you recommend that every Nigerian should read?
A book that every Nigerian should read. No, none is coming to mind. I've been many Udemy courses that I've been doing recently and professional certifications, so that's probably why I'm a bit rusty with my book recommendation. But yeah.
Banker to the Poor.
Yeah.
I'm tempted to read it now. So, but I think in closing, these are typically questions that we ask most entrepreneurs that come on this channel. So I'll just hit you with some of them in no particular order anyways. So if you were to have, or should I say, if you were to start a business today with any Nigerian founder, who would it be?
With any Nigerian founder, it would be, I want to say Tony Luelu because of the access that he has. But apart from him, maybe Iyi.
Okay, he's a very great guy.
Yeah.
If you were to start, like any startup that exists that you wish you were the one that started?
Oh, Paystack.
Paystack?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I like because it's created infrastructure for businesses to build on. And I really love working with businesses. So that's opportunity to just get paid anywhere. Okay, Paystack or Seller.
Seller?
Yeah.
Okay.
Because monetizing knowledge is a really quick way to make money. And they've created fantastic infrastructure for people to do that and earn globally. So yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So if you were to, is there a particular startup that globally now that you would have not invested in that is currently a success?
Ooh, that I would have not invested in that is currently a success. None comes to mind. None comes to mind. I mean, if it's already a success, why would I be thinking about not investing in them?
Like you would have said,
this business
you had
would
enough
not
introspect
succeed.
that if they had brought this idea to me, I'm sure that not success, but it doesn't just make any sense. But right now, it's a success.
I'm sure most businesses that exist in America will fall under that category because it's it's so interesting to see the things that people build there and they make a lot of money from.
Yeah.
But that's because it's a really big nation, large nation with disposable income.
Yeah, you have a lot of
So
disposable income.
people just spend on, and they have access to credit a lot.
Yes, yes.
People just spend on a lot of
I
things that would
I
not
think the last person I asked this
survive
question,
here.
his answer was Airbnb.
Oh, no, I clearly see why that would succeed.
Really?
Yeah.
Do you know the original pitch?
What was it?
The original pitch was people will rent out their airbed in the parlor and then they'll prepare breakfast for the guests. That's what it's actually
Okay, I
called.
think the scary part is, a stranger in my house and all of that. I mean, but people taking strangers. Perhaps,
What do you think would have
but
been
then
this
it's
successful?
like, but you're making, now you get to make money from bringing in strangers. Let's try it and see. So I would have wanted to see what their MVP was.
Yeah.
But I don't think I would have written off the idea.
Really?
No.
I think I would have.
written
I think I would have been a bit scared. I mean, and I think to answer this question, you really need some level of deep introspection.
Yes,
like not judging it from what it is today.
Surface. Fair enough. I feel like because you've seen what it is today, it's hard. Because I have a friend who has a very similar idea. It's not like an Airbnb, but it's so renting out your space for not Airbnb, like Airbnb, but you're actually renting out your space for maybe 6 months. So if people are coming into Abuja, and I can share because he tweeted about it, if people are coming into Abuja, they can't afford to rent a house, right, full time or like for a year, or they're just trying to settle into the city. A lot of people have empty rooms or even empty houses. So you're not renting it out long term. And I thought it was a great idea, but perhaps I thought so because we've seen the success of Airbnb. So it's hard to think about it as
I think short-let apartments are still very this thing.
Yeah.
I mean, but I think the final question really would be, if you were to start any business again and it was going to be a guaranteed success, what would it be?
Any business again, and it was going to be a guaranteed success. Oh, any business that exists?
Yeah, I mean, like, no, not any business.
Okay. I think that online education, we've not scratched it. We've not scratched the surface.
Most
of
people
it,
say that edtech is bad business. Some
I
people
think
even say that edtech is not a business.
It is.
That's an impact.
I think it has not. Its time has not yet come. But I think it's one of those businesses that when its time comes, people who started it will be glad that they did and perhaps stayed on it. I think the way that people are learning is changing. My own model would have been different. I would have been creating, so I would have a school that people create curriculum programs. There's a lot of accelerator and incubator programs, and sometimes they have to create their work from scratch. And actually, that's something that I'm working on. So people can come and license the courses for their accelerator and incubator programs.
That's really nice.
So yeah,
That's
and
really nice.
it's going to work because I've seen the numbers that it potentially does, and also you're saving this incubation and accelerator programs time. So they just have to launch their program. So plug and play accelerator, yeah.
Sincerely, I'll be slow to invest in that. But
Send your pitch deck.
what does the future look like for Triift? What should we expect?
We want to be able to support businesses at the grassroots all over Africa, supporting them, enabling them access finance and the knowledge that they need to grow and create jobs.
So yeah,
What that would look like may change, but that's the mission in my heart for it.
So yeah, the Mohammed Yunus of Africa.
Perhaps.
Perhaps. Thank you very much, Yemisi, for coming on this channel today. And I think it's been really a great joy to have you and to learn from your journey and to see the great work you guys are doing at Triift and also what you're also doing at various accelerator programs, platforms, helping startups scale and helping startups grow. I think we are really at a place as a nation, as a continent, where we need more builders. And I really love that you are facilitating that. So I would just encourage everyone that is watching to please like, share, subscribe, comment, share this with someone that needs to watch this, and you will see her social media handles under the comment section. Please do well to follow her and the great work that they are doing. I think it's very important that we further identify more businesses like this, because I know that what we are building in Africa is actually something very special, which is why the theme of this particular series is Building from Africa, and we are bringing people who are having the audacity to actually build from Africa, to come share from their experiences, to come share lessons to us, so that we are able to take those lessons and further build and further reinsert those seeds from their journeys to make Africa a better place. So thank you for joining us on this journey. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe, and comment. And I look forward to seeing you in the next episode.